Hello, economic students. This is some video help that will talk you through how to graph the law of demand given certain scenarios. So what I have here is I have 8 questions or scenarios that have to do with demand for US made cars. And what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to, after I read each scenario, I want you guys to graph it on your own and see how you do. So the objective here is for you guys to A, interpret a scenario and determine if it would cause demand to increase or decrease for the given product, and B, to graph it properly, okay? This could be a shift. This could also be a movement. Remember, a movement, we're talking along a stationary one demand curve, whereas a movement, we're talking about, or a shift, we're talking about one curve and we're creating a whole nother curve. All right. So again, for each of these, for all 8 of these, we're looking at the market for US made cars. We're talking Dodge and Ford and Chevy and those cars made here in the United States. And here's number one. Number one is consumers' income drops. Okay, so in this scenario, we're assuming that there's a recession. People are out of work more often. People are cutting back on their purchases. How is this going to affect the market for US made cars? Go ahead and pause the video and see how you do. Okay, so if you pause the video, you should show a leftward shift. So I'm going to draw it out for you. There you go. And make sure you draw an arrow showing a leftward shift and you label demand and then D1. D and D1, demand, and now your new demand curve, okay? And to help drive this point through, okay, so originally you were right here, okay? And now you're right here. So look what happens to your quantity. The amount, the total amount of cars being sold in the United States has decreased. It's gone leftward with the decrease in demand, which is very common when people are cutting back on their purchases. People are buying less, so demand decreases, and therefore the amount of cars that are sold decreases, which has an adverse effect on businesses. Well, this is a cyclical relationship between consumers and firms, the businesses. Okay, so that's number one. Hopefully you graphed it right. Let's try another one. Number 2. Millions of immigrants enter the United States. So pause the video and see how you do. Okay, so in this case, since you have millions of immigrants entering, you got to think from the perspective of the consumer, okay? So if all of a sudden, if you have more consumers entering the United States, these people are buyers, they're going to buy things, including US-made cars. What's going to happen is you're going to have a positive shift. You're going to have a rightward shift, an increase in demand, okay? So demand is going from right there to right there. And now, to follow along, you were at this point, and now you are at this point. So before, there was your quantity. Now with more people, more consumers entering the US economy and the US workforce, now you have more cars being demanded and sold. And so you can keep the price the same. Remember, price is on the y-axis here. You can keep the price the same and still sell more cars. This is the difference, guys, between a movement and a shift. And here's a quick tip. We will have a movement question coming up. I'm just not going to tell you which one it is. All right, so we're 2 down, 6 to go. Number 3, price of foreign autos. So we're talking about automobiles or cars made in Japan and Germany, elsewhere. Price of cars made in those countries is decreased. Okay, so go ahead and think this one through. Pause the video and then give it a shot. Okay. All right, so if you pause the video, if you're an American, again, guys, it helps when you put yourself in their shoes, you know, when you think about it from the perspective of the scenario. So if you had to choose between a Japanese car that's cheaper, you know, Kia, Toyota, something like that, that is of the same quality, but is more cost effective, whereas an American car that's Chevy and Ford that's more expensive, you're going to choose the foreign made car, right? So because of that, when the price of foreign cars drops, Americans buy less American cars and more foreign cars. So the demand for American-made automobiles decreases, and now you were at this point, and now American firms are selling fewer cars, okay? Even though they can still keep the price the same, although I would probably cut the price to try and compete with the foreign automobiles. This was very commonplace in the 1970s and 1980s when Japanese firms like Toyota emerged and found new cost-effective ways to make cars and really challenged American supremacy in the automobile market. So this is a real-life example. All right, number 4. Major cities add inexpensive bus lines. So we're talking inner-city areas, adding very cheap, cost-effective bus lines. Go ahead and pause the video and think about the effect this would have on the demand for U.S. cars. Okay, so now we're assuming that if you, like before, you had the choice between foreign cars that are cheaper and U.S. cars that are more expensive. Here you have the choice between cheap public transportation or more expensive American cars, assuming all other things equal. The demand for American cars is going to decrease. So this is like if the United States government decided to really subsidize public transportation, like make trains and buses and other forms of public transportation more readily available, people would use it more. People would use it more, assuming it's good quality, and the demand for cars would decrease. So leftward shift, negative leftward shift in the demand for U.S.-made cars. Number 5, we're over halfway done. The price of U.S. cars rises. So go ahead and pause the video here. What do you think would happen to the demand for U.S. cars when the price of those cars rises? Okay, so here is our movement question. If you were waiting for the movement question, aha, you found it. Here it is. Okay, so at this point, let's say this is point A, right? I should have used the text box. This is point A, okay? This is, we're assuming this is our price right there. Now, let's say the price of cars rises from point A to point B right here, whatever this is. Draw the line going across. There's your price. This is the movement. We're moving from point A to point B right there. Okay, there's your movement. Not a shift, a movement along one demand curve. And so because of that, the price is increasing. Notice that all the other ones, look at that, price stayed the same, price stayed the same, price stayed the same. Okay, here, the price is increased. And now, look at the effect it's had on quantity. Quantity has went from this point, you're selling this many cars, and now you're selling fewer cars because law of demand, right? When you increase the price of something, theoretically, based on the law of demand, people are going to buy less of it. Increase in price leads to a decrease in the demand for U.S.-made cars. Number 6, we've got 3 left. Price of U.S. cars is expected to rise soon. So it hasn't happened yet, but people are expecting cars to go up in the future. Maybe a sale is expiring, or we're getting to summer driving season when cars are more popular. Think about what's happening here. Pause the video. All right, so if we expect the price of cars to rise soon, people are going to try and get those cars now when the price is lower. Think about it. If you are in the market to try and buy a car, and I know some of my students are, and they're aware that sales are expiring soon, they're going to try and take advantage of those sales now. So people are going to buy more cars now. It's like an inventory sale. You know, you hear about that sometimes in the news, the media, advertising. Inventory sale. We're trying to sell off our inventory. What they're doing, they're trying to put it in people's heads that, hey, guess what? We got cars here for sale. They're not going to be for sale for long. Buy them now. So the demand for cars increases. Whoa, that's not a bad. That's a bad line. We go from this point here is your quantity. Look at that. The shift means that quantity increases. Like I've been saying quite a bit. Quantity increases this point. Look at the price. Price stays the same. You could sell more cars and keep the price the same. All right, last 2. Families are planning and scheduling summer vacations. Woohoo! All right, let's go. Number 7. Pause the video, figure it out. All right, summer driving season, right? This happened with my family a couple years ago. We planned a trip to the Carolinas in Savannah, Georgia. My wife was very, very ecstatic about it, and somehow she talked me into buying a new Chevy Traverse. Summer driving season, right? People are taking vacations. They want the better car for their kids. Go from D to D1. This was your price in quantity. Whoa, there's your price in quantity now. All right, there we go. Q1. Not a very steady hand. There we go. Okay. Yeesh. Don't judge me on that one. Last one. Number 8, U.S. car companies launch effective ad campaigns for their cars. Pause the video. Think about the effect this would have on the demand for U.S.-made cars. Go ahead and graph it out. Okay, so we got a lot of increases here, right? Okay, let's try and make this one really good. Oh, man, we're not off to a good start. D to D1. There we go. Rightward shift. Remember, to the right. Increase. Okay, increase in demand. Okay, there's our new quantity. There's our original quantity. So remember, it's a rightward shift. For quantity 2, firms are selling more cars. Holy cow. Looks like my 4-year-old son drew it. Okay, price stays the same. So how many increases did we have? We had 1, 2, 3. There's a movement. There's a decrease. There's a decrease. 4 increases. 4 increases and 3 decreases in a movement. All right. So I hope that helps, guys. Key here, key takeaway. Did your graphing skills improve? Remember the tips that I talked to you about. A, read the scenario. Okay. B, ask yourself, rightward shift or leftward shift? You got to ask yourselves that. C, graph it. Those are 3 steps, A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to say. Read the scenario. Positive or negative increase, positive or negative increase or decrease, and then 3, graph it out. Okay, the graphing will lead you to the answer as we move along. So this is an important skill to have in an economic class. Hope you enjoyed it. It was great. We talked all about cars. Have a great day.